In March 2024, the streets of Jamnagar lit up like something out of a dream or a movie so extravagant it could only exist in the mind of a billionaire. But this wasn't fiction, it was real life. And the man at the center of it all was Mukesh Ambani, the richest man in Asia. For 3 nights straight, the world's most powerful people, from tech moguls to Bollywood legends, from business titans to pop icons, flew in on private jets to attend the pre-wedding celebration of his youngest son, Anant Ambani. Beyonce had performed at his daughter's wedding in 2018. This time, Rihanna sang for the Ambani family in an exclusive concert worth millions. And that was just the warm-up. The scale of the event was unlike anything the world had ever seen. A 1,000-person guest list, flown in from every corner of the globe, treated to Michelin star catering, designer gift bags, and custom-built venues adorned with gold, silk, and flowers imported from Europe. Helicopters ferried guests across the sprawling venue. Hundreds of luxury cars lined up like a fleet of sparkling jewels. The entire city seemed to have been transformed into the Ambani family's personal stage. And then the backlash hit. In a country where millions still live without access to clean water or reliable electricity, critics saw the Ambani wedding as a slap in the face, a dizzying display of wealth that revealed the deep and painful gap between India's richest and its poorest. Social media erupted with videos of the celebrations, sparking a firestorm of debates about inequality, corporate ethics, and whether the Ambani empire had crossed a line. Political activists accused the family of flaunting their fortune while ordinary citizens struggled with rising inflation. Even some former allies and admirers began to question, was this opulence worth the price in public trust? For Mukesh Ambani, this was not his first time being at the center of controversy. He was used to whispers about his wealth, the opaque nature of his business dealings, and his close relationships with India's most powerful politicians. But this was different. The wedding had become a global headline, overshadowing his corporate triumphs and rekindling uncomfortable questions about how much influence and excess one man could have. From the son of a gas station attendant to the chairman of a $230 billion conglomerate, Ambani had climbed to heights few could imagine. He once stood as a symbol of Indian ambition, the proof that an empire could be built from nothing. But after the wedding scandal, the narrative began to shift. Was this the story of a self-made titan, or the cautionary tale of a man consumed by his own success? They once stood at the very top, but what happened next? Join the Hidden Billionaires to uncover their story. Mukesh Ambani's story does not begin in the glass skyscrapers of Mumbai, nor on the red carpets where the world's elite pose for photographs. It begins in the dusty streets of Aden, Yemen, in 1957. His father, Dhirubhai Ambani, was then working as a gas station attendant, earning a modest wage far from his homeland. His mother, Kokilaban, was a homemaker who carried with her the values of discipline, thrift, and quiet determination. In the 1952nd, Yemen was a place of opportunity for Indian migrants seeking steady work, but Dhirubhai was not a man destined to live out his life behind a pump. He saved every rupee he could and dreamed of starting his own business back in India. When Mukesh was still a child, the family returned to Mumbai, a city bursting with chaos, color, and the raw energy of commerce. They lived in a cramped two-bedroom apartment in the Bhuleshwar neighborhood, sharing space with extended family. There were no servants, no luxuries, no private cars, just a young boy watching his father hustle day and night to turn small ideas into big opportunities. Mukesh's childhood was far from the gilded world his own children would later inherit. He attended Hill Grange High School, where he was a bright but unassuming student. His interests were not in politics or fame, but in science and engineering. The family was not wealthy, but Dhirubhai had a gift for instilling ambition in his children. He would often tell Mukesh, "Business is not about money. It's about creating something that outlives you." By the 1972nd, Dhirubhai Ambani had begun laying the foundation of what would become Reliance Industries, first as a small textile company. Mukesh, still a teenager, would listen intently to dinner table conversations about yarn prices, supply shortages, and market strategies. The family might have been living modestly, but Mukesh was already being groomed for a much bigger stage. After high school, he enrolled in the Institute of Chemical Technology in Mumbai, studying chemical engineering. His professors noted his precision and his tendency to question every assumption, a trait that would later define his leadership style. In 1981, he secured admission to Stanford University for an MBA. For many, this would have been the ticket to a comfortable corporate career in the West. But fate intervened. In 1980, India's economy was opening slowly, and Dhirubhai saw an opportunity to revolutionize the country's polyester and petrochemicals sector. He called Mukesh back from Stanford after just 1 year, telling him bluntly, "We have work to do in India." That decision, to leave behind the world's top business school and join his father in building Reliance, would change the course of Mukesh's life forever. The young Mukesh was thrown into the deep end, overseeing the construction of a polyester filament yarn plant in Padalganga. It was not glamorous work. He spent long days in factory heat, negotiating with suppliers, solving engineering bottlenecks, and learning how to manage thousands of workers. But it was here that he learned the essence of the Ambani philosophy: dream big, move fast, and never let bureaucracy slow you down. Even in these early years, Mukesh's drive was relentless. He wasn't the loudest man in the room, but he was the one who would quietly dismantle a problem piece by piece until it was solved. Those who worked with him described a leader who could see 5 steps ahead, a skill that would later make him one of the most formidable businessmen in the world. From a small boy in a cramped Mumbai apartment to the heir of a growing empire, Mukesh's rise in this first chapter of his life was not marked by privilege alone, but by proximity to one of the most ambitious entrepreneurs India had ever seen. He had inherited not just a business, but a mission, and he was about to take it further than anyone could have imagined. When Mukesh Ambani took his place beside Dhirubhai in the Reliance boardroom in the early 1982nd, India was still a closed economy, riddled with licensing restrictions, import limits, and political red tape. Many industrialists saw these as barriers. Mukesh saw them as a chessboard, and he was ready to play the long game. His first major project, the Padalganga polyester plant, was a success, but Mukesh was just getting started. He began pushing Reliance into petrochemicals, oil refining, and eventually telecommunications. Each move was ambitious, each investment massive. The centerpiece of his early vision came in 1999, when he spearheaded the creation of the Jamnagar refinery in Gujarat. This was not just any refinery. It would become the largest in the world, capable of processing 660,000 barrels of crude oil a day. At the time, critics scoffed, but Mukesh had calculated the future demand, and he was right. Jamnagar became Reliance's crown jewel, a strategic fortress that turned crude oil into gold. But it wasn't just scale that defined him, it was timing. Mukesh had an uncanny ability to enter industries just before they exploded in value. He pushed into retail with Reliance Fresh at a time when India's middle class was expanding. He moved into telecom with Reliance Infocom in the early 2002, planting seeds that would later grow into Jio, the single most disruptive force in India's communications history. In 2016, when Reliance Jio launched, it offered free calls and virtually free data for months. Competitors laughed, then panicked. Within 2 years, Jio had added over 300 million subscribers, forcing rivals to slash prices or collapse entirely. India's internet revolution was now branded with the Ambani name. Mukesh's leadership style was a blend of quiet calculation and aggressive expansion. He rarely gave fiery speeches, but when he made a decision, it was absolute. Insiders describe how he could spend hours in silence during a meeting, only to deliver a final verdict that no one dared to question. He was meticulous in preparation, reading detailed technical reports, but also willing to risk billions if he believed in the outcome. As Reliance grew, so did his public profile. By the late 2002, Mukesh Ambani was regularly appearing on Forbes' list of the world's richest. He commissioned the construction of Antilia, a 27-story personal residence in Mumbai, complete with 3 helipads, a ballroom, an ice room that could simulate snow, and a staff of over 600. The estimated cost, between $1 billion and $2 billion, made it one of the most expensive private homes in the world. For admirers, it was a symbol of India's arrival on the global stage. For critics, it was a monument to excess. Despite the criticism, Mukesh kept building. Under his watch, Reliance's market capitalization soared past $200 billion. He inked deals with giants like Facebook, Google, and Saudi Aramco. He became not just a businessman, but a kingmaker in politics, media, and technology. Presidents, prime ministers, and CEOs sought his ear. At his peak, he was the face of Indian capitalism, the man who could summon Rihanna to sing at a wedding, persuade Silicon Valley to invest in his vision, and bend entire industries to his will. The media celebrated him as a visionary who had connected 1 billion Indians to the internet and brought global luxury to India's doorstep. But as his empire expanded, so did the whispers. Questions began to surface about his political connections, market dominance, and whether the lines between ambition and arrogance were starting to blur. The climb to power was complete. The view from the top was unmatched. But for Mukesh Ambani, the higher he rose, the more dangerous the storms would become. By the late 2010 second, Mukesh Ambani was not just India's richest man, he was a global symbol of power, ambition, and staggering wealth. But the glare of the spotlight can be blinding, and the higher one climbs, the sharper the fall when controversies strike. The first major wave of criticism came with the unveiling of Antilia. While Mukesh saw it as a home for his family and a reflection of his success, critics saw an obscene fortress of privilege towering over one of the most crowded cities in the world. Mumbai's streets, teeming with poverty, looked up at $1 billion mansion that seemed to defy the very idea of modesty. International media outlets ran photo spreads of Antilia alongside images of Mumbai's slums, an unspoken indictment of India's wealth gap. Then came the political controversies. Reliance's deep connections with successive Indian governments sparked allegations of preferential treatment. Opposition politicians accused Mukesh of wielding disproportionate influence over policy decisions, especially in energy and telecom sectors. The whispers became louder during Jio's meteoric rise, with rivals alleging regulatory favoritism that allowed him to crush competition. While nothing was ever proven in court, the perception that Mukesh was too close to power became part of his public image. The most public test of his reputation came with the lavish wedding scandals, first his daughter Isha's 2018 nuptials, where Bianca performed, and then the 2024 pre-wedding celebrations for his youngest son, Anant. The Jamnagar spectacle was broadcast across social media, drawing admiration for its scale but fury for its timing. India was grappling with economic slowdowns, inflation was hurting the poor, and yet here was a billionaire spending hundreds of millions on celebrations. The imagery was impossible to ignore. Gold-plated decor, celebrity guests, imported flowers, and multi-course banquets in a nation where many skip meals. Social activists accused him of flaunting his wealth with reckless disregard for social realities. Hashtags calling for boycotts of Reliance trended on Twitter. International media framed it as a case study in billionaire excess. Even some loyal allies admitted privately that the optics were damaging. The personal toll was harder to measure but no less real. Mukesh, who had always guarded his private life, now faced a level of scrutiny that extended to his children. Paparazzi chased every Ambani move. Tabloids speculated on succession battles within the family, and business rivals seemed eager to leak stories to damage his reputation. Inside Reliance, there was no question of retreat. Mukesh doubled down, insisting that the company's mission and growth outweighed the noise. But those close to him say the criticism left its mark. Once seen as the embodiment of Indian entrepreneurial spirit, he was now also cast as the symbol of its most glaring inequalities. Yet Ambani never gave in to public contrition. He didn't apologize for his wealth or the scale of his celebrations. Instead, he expanded philanthropic programs under the Reliance Foundation, subtly reframing his image as a patron of education, healthcare, and rural development. Still, for many, the juxtaposition of billion-dollar parties and charitable donations only reinforced the contradictions in his public persona. The storms were real, but so was his resilience. Every scandal seemed to test whether his empire could bend without breaking, and so far it had always held. But there was one question that no amount of money could silence. Had Mukesh Ambani's fame and the way he wielded it permanently altered the way the world would remember him? After the whirlwind of criticism and public scrutiny from the wedding extravaganzas and political controversies, Mukesh Ambani took a subtle but calculated step back from the blazing spotlight. Unlike many business magnates who might retreat entirely in the face of stormy headlines, Ambani chose a different path, one of quiet recalibration mixed with strategic reinvention. In the years following the Jamnagar wedding scandal, Reliance Industries continued its aggressive expansion, but with a more nuanced public image strategy. Mukesh focused on consolidating power behind the scenes, strengthening Reliance's dominance in energy, retail, and digital sectors. He accelerated investments in green energy and sustainability projects, aiming to position Reliance as a forward-looking conglomerate prepared for the 21st century's environmental challenges. This pivot was not just business. It was also an attempt to reshape public perception and silence critics who painted him as a symbol of excess and inequality. Mukesh became more involved in philanthropic ventures, quietly expanding the Reliance Foundation's reach into rural India, healthcare, and education. He endorsed large-scale initiatives to provide clean water and electricity to underserved regions, highlighting a softer side to the corporate titan. Though rarely seen in the media himself, his foundation's work was often in the headlines, serving as a reminder that beneath the glitz was a man who understood the country's deep struggles, if only from a distance. Meanwhile, on the personal front, the Ambani family remained fiercely private. Mukesh and his wife Nita maintained their discreet presence, focusing on nurturing their children's future. Isha and Akash Ambani were being groomed for leadership roles within Reliance, while Anant, the youngest, was stepping into the limelight more cautiously after the intense media attention surrounding his wedding. The family was evolving from being just India's wealthiest household to becoming a dynastic institution with eyes set on global legacy. Despite all this, Mukesh Ambani did not completely disappear from public life. He made carefully chosen appearances at key industry events, delivered strategic speeches about India's digital future, and maintained tight control over Reliance's messaging. His approach was calm but unmistakably firm. The empire was still very much his to command, and no controversy would unseat his throne. Surprisingly to many, this period also saw Mukesh exploring new business frontiers, including ventures into e-commerce and artificial intelligence. Reliance's partnerships with global tech giants like Google and Microsoft deepened, signaling that the conglomerate was ready to be a major player in the tech revolution. Behind closed doors, Mukesh was orchestrating deals that would cement his company's influence for decades to come. Yet, what surprised the public most was Mukesh Ambani's restrained lifestyle compared to his earlier flamboyance. While Antilia remained one of the most expensive homes on the planet, the media saw fewer ostentatious displays. The family seemed to embrace a quieter dignity, perhaps a sign of maturity, or a tactical retreat to weather the storm of public opinion. What remains undeniable is that Mukesh Ambani's empire endured the backlash and emerged more versatile and focused. The man who once threw billion-dollar weddings was now steering India's largest conglomerate through an era defined by change, challenge, and the promise of innovation. Mukesh Ambani's legacy is not only built on the sprawling empire of Reliance Industries, but deeply entwined with the future his family will shape. The Ambani household, often dubbed India's first family of business, is now a sprawling dynasty, where the next generation is quietly taking center stage. Mukesh and his wife Nita have 3 children, Akash, Isha, and Anant. Each of them has been meticulously prepared for leadership roles, blending education abroad with hands-on experience inside Reliance. Akash, the eldest son, is seen as a poised strategist, taking charge of Reliance Jio's telecommunications and digital ventures. Isha Ambani, the only daughter, has embraced both business and philanthropy, heading Reliance Retail and contributing significantly to the family's charitable causes. Anant, the youngest, after the media frenzy surrounding his wedding, has been increasingly involved in the company's energy and green initiatives. The question that has loomed large is succession. When Mukesh Ambani eventually steps back, who will carry the torch? Public speculation swirls around whether the siblings will lead Reliance jointly or if power struggles might erupt behind closed doors. However, insiders report that the family maintains a strong sense of unity, fostered by Nita Ambani's influential role in keeping the family bonds tight and aligned. Outside of business, the Ambani family has diversified their influence. Isha and Akash have both entered into marriages that further extend the family's global ties, merging with other influential Indian business families. Their children, the grandchildren of Mukesh and Nita, are growing up in a world of vast privilege, with access to elite education and exposure to international culture, ensuring the dynasty's longevity. Philanthropy has become a central pillar of the family's public identity. The Reliance Foundation, guided by Nita Ambani, operates extensive programs in education, healthcare, and rural development. This charitable arm serves as both a legacy and a buffer, shaping public perception and contributing to social change. Despite their wealth, the Ambanis have fostered a culture of discreetness and responsibility. While lavish events still occur, the family balances extravagance with a growing awareness of their role as custodians of India's economic future. They have begun championing sustainable development and technological innovation, hoping to inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs. As the torch slowly passes to the younger Ambanis, the question remains, will they preserve their father's vision and empire, or will they redefine it entirely? With the world watching, this family saga continues to unfold a tale of ambition, power, and legacy that transcends mere wealth. Mukesh Ambani's legacy is nothing short of transformative, not only for India, but for the global business landscape. Over the decades, he revolutionized multiple industries, from petrochemicals and refining to telecommunications and retail, leaving an indelible mark that reshaped how a developing nation connects to the modern world. His crowning achievement, Reliance Jio, did more than disrupt India's telecom sector. It democratized the internet for over 1 billion people, bridging digital divides and propelling India into the digital age. The affordable data and widespread connectivity powered by Jio unleashed new opportunities for millions of entrepreneurs, students, and consumers, changing lives in ways few corporate leaders have achieved. In energy, his vision for the Jamnagar refinery created one of the world's largest and most efficient facilities, positioning India as a major player in global oil refining. His recent push into green energy signals his awareness that the future depends on sustainable solutions, reflecting a leader adapting to global environmental imperatives. Mukesh's influence stretches beyond industry. Reliance's investments and partnerships with tech giants such as Google, Facebook, and Microsoft forged a bridge between India and Silicon Valley, attracting global capital and innovation. This not only elevated Reliance but boosted India's reputation as a tech powerhouse on the world stage. Yet, his legacy is complex. Critics view him as a symbol of extreme wealth disparity, political influence, and the growing concentration of power in a few hands. The lavish displays and controversies surrounding his family's private life serve as a stark reminder of the challenges that accompany such immense success. Nonetheless, Ambani's story offers enduring lessons: the power of vision combined with relentless execution, the ability to disrupt entrenched industries, and the importance of adapting to changing times. Universities and business schools now study his strategies and leadership style as case studies in ambition and resilience. The Ambani name adorns institutions, philanthropic initiatives, and cultural programs, cementing a legacy that extends well beyond balance sheets. He is simultaneously celebrated as an inspirational icon of Indian entrepreneurship and scrutinized as a cautionary figure of capitalism's excesses. 2 decades from now, How will the world remember Mukesh Ambani as the man who connected a billion people to the internet, built an empire from scratch, and dared to dream bigger than anyone else? Or as a billionaire whose wealth sparked fierce debates about inequality and influence? For now, his impact is undeniable, a titan whose legacy will be debated, admired, and studied for generations to come. Mukesh Ambani's journey from a modest childhood in Mumbai to becoming Asia's richest man is a testament to ambition, vision, and relentless drive. His story is one of soaring triumphs and dramatic controversies, of building an empire that transformed India's economy and reshaped entire industries. He was a pioneer who dared to take risks others wouldn't, a strategist who saw opportunities decades before they emerged, and a leader who commanded loyalty and respect. Yet his tale is not without shadows. The lavish excesses, the political entanglements, and the public backlash remind us that with immense wealth comes immense scrutiny and responsibility. Ambani's life teaches us that ambition can create both incredible progress and profound inequalities. It challenges us to think about the price of fame and fortune and how power shapes the world around us. His legacy is still unfolding, carried now by the next generation who face the task of steering a colossal empire through rapidly changing times. Will they honor their father's vision or forge new paths? Will Mukesh Ambani be remembered primarily as a visionary who revolutionized India or as a symbol of the challenges posed by modern capitalism? One thing is clear: his impact on business, technology, and society is profound and undeniable. If you found this story eye-opening, subscribe and stay tuned for more hidden truths from the world's richest.